Be me, Camilla, 39 years old, HR director at a software development company. Been watching this boys club operate for 3 years now. Time to show everyone what true equality looks like. Sitting in my corner office Monday morning, reviewing personnel files. Same story everywhere I look. Men getting promoted faster, getting better projects, higher salaries. The data doesn't lie, even if everyone pretends it does. CEO keeps talking about merit-based decisions. What a joke when the playing field has never been level. Knock on my door, it's David from IT, probably the worst offender. Walks in like he owns the place, manspreading in the chair across from my desk. Camilla, I heard there might be some restructuring happening. Wanted to get ahead of any rumors. Perfect opportunity. Actually, David, I'm glad you came by. We need to have a serious conversation about your performance metrics. Watch his face change as I pull out his file. Your productivity scores have been consistently below department averages. Your peer reviews show concerning patterns of interrupting female colleagues in meetings. His jaw drops. Are you kidding me? I've been here 8 years. I built half the systems this company runs on. What interrupting? I participate in discussions like everyone else. That's not what the data shows, David. Your communication style creates a hostile work environment for women trying to contribute. We've received multiple informal complaints. He leans forward, voice getting louder. Multiple complaints? From who? I want names, Camilla. This is ridiculous. I've mentored 3 women in this department. Ask Sarah, ask Monica about how I've supported their careers. This isn't about individual testimonials, David. It's about creating systemic change. Your defensive attitude right now is exactly what I'm talking about. Watch him stand up, pacing now. My defensive attitude? Camilla, you're talking about my livelihood here. 8 years of my life. I have a mortgage, kids in college. You can't just decide my communication style doesn't fit your vision. I'm not deciding anything arbitrarily. This is based on comprehensive analysis of workplace dynamics and productivity optimization. He stops pacing, stares at me. Camilla, listen to yourself. You're using corporate buzzwords to justify something that makes no sense. You know my work quality. You've seen my project completions, my innovation metrics. Innovation metrics that consistently show male-dominated thinking patterns, David. We need fresh perspectives, diverse approaches to problem solving. His face is getting red now. Male-dominated thinking patterns? What does that even mean? Code either works or it doesn't. Servers either stay up or they don't. This isn't philosophy class, Camilla. Everything is connected to larger power structures, David. Your inability to see that is part of the problem. He sits back down heavily. Camilla, I'm begging you to think about what you're doing here. I know we haven't always seen eye to eye on some policies, but I've been loyal to this company. I've worked weekends, holidays, pulled all-nighters during crises. And that kind of unsustainable work culture is exactly what we're trying to change. Women bring better work-life balance perspectives. Better work-life balance? Camilla, when the servers crashed last Christmas and I spent 36 hours straight getting everything back online, was that toxic masculinity, or was that saving the company hundreds of thousands in lost revenue? Getting tired of his emotional manipulation. We'll be transitioning your responsibilities to Amanda over the next 2 weeks. She has fresh eyes and won't be bound by legacy thinking. He stands up again, voice rising. Amanda has been here 6 months. She's talented, but she doesn't know the architecture, the client relationships, the vendor contracts. Camilla, this is insane. Your tone is becoming inappropriate. David. My tone? Camilla, you're destroying people's lives. You're making decisions that will hurt real families based on some ideological crusade. I need you to lower your voice, or we'll have to involve security. He takes a deep breath, tries to compose himself. Camilla, please. I'm asking you human to human, what can I do to address whatever concerns you have? Training, coaching, whatever it takes. Don't throw away 8 years over politics. This isn't political, David. This is about creating an equitable workplace where everyone can thrive. And how is firing half the workforce creating equity? How is that helping anyone thrive? Sometimes you have to break things down to build them back better. He looks at me for a long moment. You really believe this, don't you? You actually think you're the hero in this story. I think I'm doing what needs to be done. He shakes his head, walks toward the door. Camilla, when this all falls apart, and it will fall apart, I hope you remember this conversation. I hope you remember that people try to warn you. Have a good rest of your day, David. Door closes behind him. Finally, some peace to plan the next phase. 2 weeks later, David's gone. Amanda is settling in, well, asking good questions. Next up is the sales department. Kevin has been here longest, probably expects some kind of loyalty. Call him into my office Thursday afternoon. Kevin, thanks for coming by. I wanted to discuss some organizational changes in your department. He sits down, already suspicious. What kind of changes, Camilla? We're restructuring the sales approach to be more collaborative and less aggressive, moving away from the traditional competitive model. The competitive model that's brought in 60% of our revenue for the past 5 years? Revenue that's built on unsustainable relationship patterns, Kevin. We're looking at long-term client partnerships, not short-term conquest mentalities. He laughs, but not in a good way. Conquest mentalities? Camilla, I build relationships with clients. I solve their problems. I understand their needs. That's not conquest. That's service. The language you use, the approaches you take, they reinforce hierarchical power dynamics that many clients find off-putting. Which clients, Camilla? Show me one client complaint about my approach. One. Here we go with the demands for evidence. This isn't about individual complaints, Kevin. It's about systemic improvement. Systemic improvement? Camilla, my client retention rate is 93%. My deals close faster than department average. I've brought in 14 new accounts this year alone. And how many of those accounts specifically requested to work with women? How many? What? Camilla, clients care about results. They care about understanding their business needs and delivering solutions. That's a very narrow view of what clients value, Kevin. He leans back in his chair. Camilla, help me understand something. Are you saying my 5 years of consistently exceeding targets means nothing because of my gender? I'm saying your approach represents a style of business relationship that we're evolving past. Evolving past? Camilla, this is how business works. You build trust, you deliver value, you maintain relationships. Gender doesn't factor into it. Gender factors into everything, Kevin. Your inability to see that is part of why we need change. His voice is getting tighter. Camilla, I've worked my butt off for this company. I've missed family dinners, kids' soccer games, anniversaries to close deals. I've brought in millions in revenue. And that kind of work obsession creates toxic cultures that exclude women who need better balance. Better balance? Camilla, I'm not excluding anyone. Linda on my team outsells me some quarters. Rachel brought in our biggest client this year. I celebrate their success. Individual exceptions don't negate systemic patterns, Kevin. He stands up, starts pacing like David did. Systemic patterns? What patterns? Show me data, Camilla. Show me evidence. Don't just throw around theory. The evidence is in workplace culture surveys, productivity analysis, collaborative effectiveness metrics. Surveys that ask leading questions, Camilla? Productivity analysis that ignores actual production numbers? Come on. Getting frustrated with his resistance. Kevin, this decision isn't up for debate. We're moving in a different direction. He stops pacing, stares at me. You're firing me. We're concluding your employment to better align with organizational goals. You're firing me because I'm a man. I'm restructuring based on competency alignment and cultural fit. His hands are clenched now. Camilla, this is discrimination. Plain and simple. You can dress it up with whatever language you want, but you're firing successful employees based on their gender. I'm making strategic personnel decisions based on comprehensive analysis. Comprehensive analysis? Camilla, you've been here 3 years. I've been here 5. I know this business, these clients, these relationships. You're destroying something you don't understand. I understand perfectly well, Kevin. I understand power structures and privilege and systemic bias. You understand theory, Camilla. You don't understand this business. You don't understand what it takes to maintain these relationships. I understand that change requires decisive action. He sits back down, tries a different approach. Camilla, think about this practically. Marcus in my department has been here 2 years. Good guy, learning fast, but he doesn't have the client relationships. Sarah is fantastic, but she's only been here 8 months. You're gutting institutional knowledge. Institutional knowledge often means institutional bias. It means knowing that our major client prefers quarterly reviews, that another needs detailed technical specs, that the regional account wants everything in writing before verbal discussion. Those preferences can be learned by new team members. Learned over how long, Camilla? At what cost? While they're learning, what happens to revenue? Short-term adjustments are necessary for long-term improvement. He leans forward. Short-term adjustments, Camila, you're talking about people's livelihoods. You're talking about disrupting client relationships worth millions of dollars. I'm talking about building something better. Based on what evidence that it will actually be better? Based on principles of equity and inclusion. His voice is rising again. Principles don't pay salaries, Camila. Principles don't meet quarterly targets. Principles don't maintain client satisfaction. Your focus on targets and satisfaction represents exactly the kind of narrow thinking we're moving past. Narrow thinking? Camila, targets and satisfaction are how businesses survive, how they employ people, how they contribute to communities. They're also how systemic inequalities get perpetuated. He stands up again, voice getting loud. Camila, you're destroying this company in the name of ideology. You're hurting real people to pursue some theoretical ideal. I'm building a workplace where everyone can succeed. By firing half the workforce, how does that help anyone succeed? By removing barriers to advancement for underrepresented groups. By creating barriers for everyone else? Camila, this isn't justice. This is revenge. I think we're done here, Kevin. We're done, Camila. I'm trying to save your career here. When this department collapses, when we lose major clients, when revenue drops, do you think the board is going to blame systemic bias? The board will see improved workplace dynamics and increased diversity metrics. The board will see decreased profits and increased turnover. Camila, they don't care about your social theories. They care about results. Then they'll have to evolve too. He walks to the door, turns back. Camila, I feel sorry for you. I really do. You're so convinced you're fighting some righteous battle that you can't see. You're becoming the villain in everyone else's story. I'm comfortable with my choices, Kevin. You won't be comfortable for long. Door slams behind him. Good riddance. Finally getting somewhere. 3 months later, most of the male employees are gone. Amanda is struggling with the IT systems, but she'll learn. The new sales team is developing their own approaches. Some growing pains, but that's normal. CEO calls me into his office Monday morning. He looks tired, stressed. Camila, we need to talk about some concerning trends. If this is about the transition period, I've explained that change takes time. Camila, we lost 3 major clients last month. All terminated their contracts. Client relationships evolve. We'll build new ones based on better practices. Better practices? Camila, these were million-dollar accounts. One specifically said they were confused by communication breakdowns and project delays. Growing pains are inevitable when you're implementing systemic change. He pulls out a folder. Growing pains? Camila, our IT infrastructure has had more downtime in the past month than in the previous 2 years. David used to prevent these issues before they happened. Amanda is learning the systems. She brings fresh perspective to problem solving. Fresh perspective doesn't keep servers running, Camila. We had 6 hours of downtime last week that cost us thousands in lost productivity. Short-term costs for long-term benefits. What benefits? Show me one measurable improvement from these changes. Getting tired of everyone demanding proof. Workplace satisfaction surveys show improved morale among remaining staff. Remaining staff? Camila, we've lost institutional knowledge worth decades of experience. Kevin's replacement lost. A major account, because she didn't know their specific requirements. She'll develop those relationships using more inclusive approaches. Inclusive approaches don't recover lost revenue, Camila. We're down 18% this quarter. Revenue fluctuations are normal during transition periods. He leans forward. Transition periods? Camila, this isn't transition. This is destruction. You've systematically removed our most experienced employees. I've removed employees whose approaches weren't aligned with modern workplace values. Modern workplace values don't mean anything if there's no workplace left. He's being dramatic. Change is difficult. Leadership means making tough decisions for long-term success. Leadership means taking responsibility when those decisions cause measurable harm. I take full responsibility for implementing necessary reforms. Necessary reforms? Camila, help me understand the necessity. What problem were we solving? We were addressing systemic inequality and toxic workplace culture. What systemic inequality? Show me evidence. Show me data that demonstrates we had problems that justified this level of disruption. The evidence is in power structures and representation patterns. Camila, our promotion rates were gender neutral. Our pay scales followed industry standards. What specific problems were you solving? Problems aren't always visible in traditional metrics. They're visible in results, and our results are catastrophic. He's not seeing the bigger picture. Creating an equitable workplace requires fundamental restructuring. Equitable for who, Camilla? You've created unemployment for dozens of families. How is that equitable? Equity sometimes requires difficult adjustments. Difficult adjustments? Camilla, you've destroyed careers. People who worked here for years, contributed to this company's success, gone overnight. Change is never easy for everyone involved. He stands up, walks to the window. Camilla, I'm getting calls from board members. They're asking questions about our direction, our stability, our leadership. They'll understand once they see the long-term benefits. What long-term benefits? We're hemorrhaging money, losing clients, falling behind on projects. What benefits could possibly justify this? A workplace culture that truly supports all employees. All employees? We don't have employees left to support. He turns back to me. Camilla, I need you to consider bringing back some of the people you let go. David, Kevin, others who have institutional knowledge we need. That would undermine everything we've accomplished. What have we accomplished? Please, explain to me what we've accomplished. We've eliminated systemic barriers and created opportunities for advancement. Opportunities for advancement in a company that might not exist next quarter? Companies that can't evolve don't deserve to survive. He stares at me. Camilla, this company employs 60 people. 60 families depend on paychecks from here. How can you be so casual about its survival? I'm not casual. I'm committed to doing what's right regardless of short-term difficulties. Short-term difficulties? Our biggest client just told me they're considering terminating their contract because of project delays and communication issues. New teams need time to establish rapport and develop procedures. We don't have time, Camilla. Business doesn't pause while we figure things out. Then maybe business needs to change its expectations. He sits back down heavily. Camilla, listen to yourself. You're suggesting that reality should conform to your theories instead of adapting your theories to reality. I'm suggesting that progress requires challenging established patterns. Progress requires results, Camilla. Measurable improvements, satisfied clients, profitable operations. Those are narrow definitions of progress. Those are definitions that determine whether people have jobs next month. Getting frustrated with his resistance. If you're not committed to real change, maybe you're part of the problem. Long silence. Camilla, I want you to take the rest of the week to think carefully about what you're doing here. We'll meet again Monday to discuss your recommendations for moving forward. I don't need to think about anything. I know exactly what needs to be done. Then God help us all. 6 weeks later, everything's falling apart. The new IT team can't maintain the systems David built. We've had 3 major outages this month. Clients are furious about missed deadlines and poor communication. Amanda comes into my office Tuesday, looking stressed. Camilla, I need to talk to you about something serious. What's going on, Amanda? A major contract is in jeopardy. They're saying our technical support has been inadequate since their implementation. What specifically are they concerned about? Their system integration isn't working properly. I've been trying to troubleshoot, but I can't figure out how David configured their custom modules. Did you check the documentation? That's the problem. David's documentation is incomplete. A lot of his solutions were based on experience and institutional knowledge that isn't written down anywhere. This is exactly what I was afraid of. We'll figure it out, Amanda. Fresh approaches often lead to better solutions. Camilla, I've been working on this for 2 weeks. I'm not making progress. They're threatening to cancel their contract. How much is that contract worth? 2.4 million annually. That's significant, but not catastrophic. What would it take to save the relationship? Honestly, we probably need David back, at least temporarily. He built their entire system architecture. That's not an option, Amanda. Camilla, I understand your position, but this is about practical problem solving. I'm not experienced enough to reverse engineer his work. You're more capable than you think. David's approaches weren't necessarily optimal. Maybe not, but they were functional. And right now, functional is what the client needs. Amanda, I have confidence in your ability to develop innovative solutions. Innovative solutions take time, Camilla. They need results this week. Then we'll have to find a way to deliver results this week. She looks frustrated. Camilla, I'm trying to tell you that might not be possible without David's knowledge. It's possible. You just need to think differently about the problem. I've been thinking differently for 2 weeks. I need practical help. What about consulting with other team members? What other team members? Camilla, there's just me and Sarah now. Sarah's still learning basic system administration. starting to see the scope of the problem. Amanda, are you saying our entire IT department consists of 2 people? 2 people with less than a year of combined experience with our systems? Yes. That seems insufficient. It is insufficient, Camila. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Need to think strategically here. What would it cost to hire additional experienced IT staff? Experienced staff. Camila, good IT people are expensive and hard to find. It would take months to recruit, hire, and train someone. Months we don't have. Exactly. What about contractors? Temporary solutions? Contractors would cost 3 times what David was making, and they still wouldn't know our specific systems. This is becoming a real problem. Amanda, I need you to be completely honest with me. How bad is our situation? Camila, we're hanging by a thread. Our infrastructure is held together by systems I don't understand, configured by someone who's not here anymore. Every day, something else breaks down. But you're learning, right? Getting more capable? I'm learning, but learning takes time, and we're dealing with crisis after crisis. I spend all my time putting out fires instead of understanding underlying systems. What do you need to be successful, Amanda? I need time, training, documentation, and honestly, I probably need David's help to understand how everything connects together. David's not coming back. Then we need to accept that we're going to lose clients and revenue while I figure things out. How much revenue? This client is just the beginning. 3 others have complained about system performance issues this month. This is getting serious. Amanda, I want you to focus on this client. Do whatever it takes to save that relationship. Camila, I am doing whatever I can, but whatever I can might not be enough. It has to be enough. Saying it has to be doesn't make it possible. She leaves, and I'm starting to worry. Maybe the transition is harder than I anticipated. Friday afternoon, the CEO calls an emergency meeting. His face is grim when I walk into the conference room. Camila, we need to have a serious conversation about the state of this company. I'm aware there have been some challenges during the transition period. Challenges? Camila, we've lost that major client. 2.4 million gone. That's not good. Amanda was working on that account. Amanda called me yesterday. She said she couldn't solve the technical problems without David's expertise. She needed more time to develop solutions. We didn't have more time. They gave us a deadline. We missed it. These things happen during organizational change. These things are happening every week, Camila. Other major clients are reviewing their contracts. They're asking questions about our capabilities. Client relationships require adjustment periods when teams change. Adjustment periods? Camila, we're losing institutional knowledge faster than we can replace it. He pulls out a stack of papers. Look at these numbers. Revenue down 28%. Client satisfaction scores at historic lows. Employee productivity metrics showing massive inefficiencies. Metrics don't tell the whole story. They tell the story that matters to our board of directors, and the story is that we're failing. We're implementing necessary changes. Necessary for what? Camila, explain to me what we're trying to accomplish that justifies this level of business disruption. We're creating a more equitable and inclusive workplace. For who? Half our employees are gone. The other half are overwhelmed trying to do jobs they're not qualified for. They'll develop the qualifications with experience. Experience we can't afford to let them gain while revenue collapses. He leans forward. Camila, I'm going to be direct. The board is questioning your judgment. They're asking whether these personnel decisions serve any legitimate business purpose. The board needs to understand that progress requires sacrifice. Sacrifice of what? Sacrifice of the company itself? Sacrifice of outdated approaches and systems. Outdated approaches that were generating millions in revenue and maintaining satisfied clients? Revenue built on unsustainable foundations. What was unsustainable about them? David kept our systems running efficiently. Kevin maintained strong client relationships. Marcus understood vendor contracts and industry connections. They maintained systems that excluded and marginalized women. What women? Camila, show me evidence that women were being excluded or marginalized. The evidence is in representation patterns and advancement opportunities. We promoted 3 women last year. We hired women in every department. What opportunities were being denied? Subtle barriers aren't always visible in promotion statistics. Subtle barriers? Camila, you're destroying measurable success to address invisible problems. He stands up, starts pacing. Camila, I need you to understand something. This company is in serious trouble. We have maybe 2 months of operating capital left if we keep losing clients at this rate. 2 months seems alarmist. 2 months is optimistic. If we lose one more major client, we're looking at immediate layoffs. Layoffs wouldn't be necessary if everyone committed to making the new structure work. Making it work. Camilla, it's not working. Our IT infrastructure is failing. Our sales relationships are deteriorating. Our project management is chaotic. Growing pains are normal during transitions. These aren't growing pains. This is systematic collapse. He stops pacing, looks directly at me. Camilla, I'm asking you to consider rehiring David and Kevin immediately. That would undermine everything we've accomplished. What have we accomplished? Please tell me one positive outcome from your restructuring. We've created opportunities for women to advance without competing against entrenched male networks. Advance where? To positions in a failing company. The company isn't failing, it's transforming. Transforming into what? A cautionary tale about ideological management? Transforming into a workplace that truly supports equality. Equality in unemployment? Camilla, if this company fails, everyone loses their job equally. Getting tired of his catastrophizing. You're being unnecessarily dramatic. Every major change involves temporary difficulties. Temporary difficulties don't include losing your biggest clients and facing bankruptcy. We're not facing bankruptcy. We're facing insolvency if we lose 2 more major accounts. Then we'll prevent that from happening. How? With what resources? With what expertise? With creativity and determination. Creativity doesn't debug complex software systems. Determination doesn't maintain vendor relationships. New approaches can be more effective than old ones. Show me effectiveness, Camilla. Show me results. Results take time to manifest. We don't have time. He sits back down. Camilla, I'm going to be completely honest. The board is meeting Monday to discuss your position. My position? Your continued employment as HR director. They can't fire me for implementing diversity initiatives. They can fire you for gross mismanagement resulting in significant business losses. Diversity initiatives aren't mismanagement. Destroying functional teams and losing major clients is mismanagement. I was hired to modernize workplace practices. You were hired to support business operations while improving workplace culture. Sometimes those goals require prioritization. Business operations aren't optional, Camilla. They're prerequisite for everything else. Short-term business disruption is acceptable for long-term cultural improvement. Long-term cultural improvement is meaningless if there's no business left to improve. I can see he's not going to understand. I stand by every decision I've made. I've acted with integrity and commitment to principles. Principles don't pay salaries or maintain health insurance for employees. Some things are more important than immediate financial concerns. Not to the 60 families who depend on this company for their livelihoods. Those families will benefit from working in a more equitable environment. If there's still an environment left for them to work in. Meeting ends badly. The CEO is clearly panicking about short-term difficulties. Can't see the bigger picture. Monday morning, get called into the boardroom. 5 board members sitting around the table looking serious. The CEO is there too, avoiding eye contact. Boardroom chair. Robert speaks first. Camilla, thank you for joining us. We need to discuss recent developments in company operations. I understand there are concerns about the transition period. Transition period? Camilla, we've lost 4 major clients in 2 months. Our revenue has dropped by nearly 30%. Revenue fluctuations are normal during organizational restructuring. Another board member, Patricia, speaks up. Normal fluctuations don't threaten company solvency, Camilla. We're looking at potential bankruptcy if these trends continue. Bankruptcy seems like an exaggeration. Our accountants disagree, Robert says. We have perhaps 6 weeks of operating capital remaining at current loss rates. 6 weeks provides time to stabilize operations and rebuild client relationships. With what staff? Camilla, you've systematically eliminated our most experienced employees. I've eliminated employees whose approaches were inconsistent with modern workplace values. Third board member, Michael, leans forward. Camilla, help us understand something. What specific problems were you trying to solve? I was addressing systemic gender inequality and toxic workplace culture. What evidence did you have of gender inequality? Evidence exists in promotion, patterns, pay structures, and workplace dynamics. Our promotion patterns showed no gender bias. Our pay structures followed industry standards. What workplace dynamics were problematic? Subtle forms of exclusion and marginalization that don't show up in traditional metrics. Patricia speaks again. Subtle forms that justified firing profitable, experienced employees. Justified restructuring to create more equitable opportunities. Equitable opportunities in a failing company? The company isn't failing, it's adapting. Adapting by losing millions in revenue and destroying client relationships? Adapting by prioritizing values over short-term profits. Robert's voice gets sharper. Camilla, this company exists to provide value to clients and employment to workers. How do your values serve those purposes? By creating workplace environments where everyone can contribute fully. Everyone? You've fired half the workforce. I've created opportunities for underrepresented groups to advance. Advance where? We're about to lay off remaining employees due to revenue shortfalls. Michael pulls out documents. Camilla, look at these client feedback reports. One major client cited communication breakdowns and technical incompetence. Another mentioned lack of institutional knowledge and project delays. A third complained about inexperienced staff unable to meet contractual obligations. Client expectations need time to adjust to new team approaches. Clients don't adjust expectations, Camilla. They find new vendors. Then we'll find new clients who appreciate our values. With what products? What services? Camilla, our capacity to deliver has been gutted. Patricia stands up. Camilla, I want you to listen carefully. This company is in crisis. We face immediate financial threats that could result in complete business failure. Every major transformation involves risk. This isn't transformation. This is destruction. That's a matter of perspective. Robert's face is getting red. Perspective? Camilla, 60 people are going to lose their jobs if this company fails. How is that perspective? Sometimes sacrifice is necessary for progress. Sacrifice of other people's livelihoods for your social experiments. Sacrifice of outdated systems for equitable alternatives. Show us equity, Camilla. Show us one positive outcome from your decisions. Positive outcomes take time to develop. We don't have time. We have weeks before insolvency. Michael leans back in his chair. Camilla, we're prepared to offer David and Kevin their positions back with immediate starts. Will you support that decision? That would completely undermine the progress we've made. What progress? Enumerate specific improvements. Improvements in workplace culture and gender representation. Culture in a bankrupt company is irrelevant. Representation in unemployment lines serves no one. You're focusing on short-term financial concerns instead of long-term social benefits. Long-term social benefits require short-term business survival. Patricia sits back down. Camilla, we've made our decision. Effective immediately, you're being placed on administrative leave pending a full review of your tenure and decisions. You can't punish me for implementing diversity initiatives. We're responding to gross mismanagement that threatens company survival. Diversity initiatives aren't mismanagement. Destroying profitable operations without replacement strategies is mismanagement. I had replacement strategies. They need time to develop. Time we don't have. Robert stands up. Camilla, please collect your personal items and surrender your access credentials to the CEO. This is discrimination against progressive workplace policies. This is accountability for catastrophic business decisions. History will vindicate my choices. History will judge results, not intentions. Walk out of boardroom in shock. Can't believe they're prioritizing money over principles. 3 weeks later, reading local business news. The company filed for bankruptcy. All remaining employees laid off. Assets being sold to cover debts. David and Kevin were too little, too late. Couldn't repair the damage in time. Clients had already committed to other vendors. Sitting in my apartment, processing what happened. Started with such clear vision of necessary change. Ended with complete destruction. Maybe I was right about principles. Maybe everyone else just couldn't handle real transformation. Maybe the system was too broken to save. Phone rings. Unknown number. Camilla, this is David, from the company. Heart sinks. David, I heard about the bankruptcy. I'm sorry it didn't work out. Sorry it didn't work out. Camilla, 60 people lost their jobs because of your decisions. The company failed because leadership wouldn't commit to change. Leadership wouldn't commit to suicide. Camilla, there's a difference. David, I understand you're upset. Upset. Camilla, I'm destroyed. My family is destroyed. Kevin's family is destroyed. Amanda, Sarah, everyone who got caught up in your ideology. It wasn't ideology, David. It was principle. Principles that put families on unemployment, Principles that destroyed a functional business. Sometimes sacrifice is necessary for progress. Whose sacrifice, Camilla? Your sacrifice? Or everyone else's sacrifice for your vision? Change is difficult for everyone. Change? This wasn't change. This was demolition. I was trying to create something better. You created nothing. You destroyed something that worked and left wreckage. The system wasn't working for everyone. It was working for 60 families who had steady employment. Now it's not working for anyone. David, I'm sorry you can't see the bigger picture. The bigger picture? Camila, the picture is children wondering why daddy doesn't have a job anymore. The picture is families losing health insurance. The picture is real consequences for real people. Those consequences are temporary. Temporary? Camilla, some of us are in our mid-40s and 50s. Starting over isn't temporary. It's devastating. David, you never intended to think about consequences. You never intended to consider that your principles might be wrong. You never intended to take responsibility for the damage. I take full responsibility for pursuing justice. Justice? Camilla, show me justice in unemployment lines. Show me justice in foreclosed homes. Show me justice in destroyed careers. Sometimes, the right thing is the difficult thing. The right thing? Camilla, you convinced yourself that hurting people was righteous. That's not justice. That's fanaticism. I was committed to change. You were committed to your own moral superiority. Everyone else paid the price. Long pause. David, I'm sorry you feel that way. Sorry I feel that way? Camilla, I don't feel destroyed. I am destroyed. We all are. I hope things work out for you. Things don't work out, Camilla. People work things out. And you made that impossible for everyone. He hangs up, sitting alone now. Everything fell apart so quickly. Maybe I was ahead of my time. Maybe the world isn't ready for real change. Maybe sometimes you have to break things completely before rebuilding. But 60 people, 60 families, all those consequences I never meant to cause. Still believe in the principles. Still think the changes were necessary. But maybe the approach was too aggressive. Maybe timing matters more than I thought. Phone buzzes, text from Amanda. Camila, I hope you're doing okay. I know the bankruptcy wasn't your fault. The system was against us from the beginning. At least someone understands. At least someone sees that I was fighting for what's right. Even if it didn't work out the way we planned. Maybe next time will be different. Maybe next opportunity I'll be more strategic. Gradual change instead of comprehensive transformation. But the principles remain sound. The vision was correct. Just need better execution. Close the business news article. Delete David's number from my phone. Time to move forward and find new opportunities to make real change. Somewhere out there is a company ready for transformation. Somewhere out there are leaders who understand that progress requires courage. Somewhere out there, the future is waiting to be built.